Welcome everybody to another movie review where we talk about Detroit. And this movie is based on a true story. And like I said, it blurs the line sometimes between fact and fiction. But this movie is actually really, really solid. And I want to know from you where to start with Detroit.
As I would say, it's an excellent movie, phenomenal, one of the best summer movies I think you should see this summer, end of the summer movie.
Okay.
It was 2 hours and 20 minutes, did not drag. Like me, I'm a smoker, and most movies, Seth will tell you, I need my cigarettes. Cigarettes.
Yes,
I didn't think about smoking a cigarette, I didn't think about eating, I didn't think about going to the bathroom, and I had to do all three. I was hungry, I wanted to smoke, and I was so into the movie. This movie, you do have to pay attention to. It's not a type of movie where you want to miss a beat, where you say, oh, let me go have a cigarette, or let me go get some popcorn soda. Because if you miss a piece of this movie, you're going to miss a lot, because this movie is action-packed, has an excellent plot, and has an excellent storyline. There's no dull moment of this movie. It's constant. There's chaos at the beginning, but it shows basically what was happening in Detroit. And there was animation at the beginning of the movie where it showed urbanization. The white northerners moved to Detroit, the southerner blacks moved to Detroit, and it was this powder keg and racial tensions between the cops and the civilians. And it was such a good movie because the acting, I said, was phenomenal. My favorite actor in the movie, he was in We Were the Millers, he was in
The Revenant.
The Revenant, Chronicles of Narnia, was
Will Poulter.
Will Poulter, excellent guy. I really built a connection to him. The other guy I built a connection to was, he was in Star Wars.
John Boyega.
He was in Star Wars as Finn. Excellent guy. I think he's going to get a lot more roles after doing this movie. He might even get nominated for this movie. His acting was superb. I thought it was such a brilliant movie. And there's 2 points to this movie. The first part has like a plot. The second part's like a second plot. The first part shows this is the powder keg, this is the chaos, this is what's causing the rooting and rioting. The second part basically shows dirty cops and shows how they go after, and basically it's an excellent movie.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with you. Well said, dude. Well said. I agree that I think the first place to start is probably the acting itself. And as you said, the acting's great.
Absolutely.
Great. John Boyega, Will Poulter, John Krasinski is in this movie as the lawyer. Towards the end, you also have Anthony Mackie in this movie. He plays.
No, who's Anthony Mackie?
You might know him more as playing the Falcon in the Captain America movies,
okay,
of course, the Avengers. He did a wonderful job in this movie. Also, and for me, also, I'm a big fan of Lost, and you had the main little black kid who was in Lost, and he grown up and he was in this movie as well. And also I want to give a shout out to one of the main black actors who did an amazing job. The singing, his acting in general.
Algiers.
No, that's the name of the motel.
Not the
I think it's A.G. Smith or something.
A.G. Smith.
I think it is. He actually was absolutely amazing in the movie. I thought he was fantastic.
Oh, he did a brilliant job, and his voice was amazing.
Oh, absolutely stunning his voice was. And I feel like everybody was great, and everybody had meaty roles. Nobody felt like, okay, we're just giving these people a little bit of a handout but because they're a big actor, and why not? We put them in the movie for the sake of putting them in it. No, everybody had a fantastic role and played it amazingly well. Fantastic up and down the board here. As far as the plot itself, look, we had problems with Dunkirk because of no really strong plot, no really strong characters to get to know people.
For me, it's not just a plot. You have to have a connection to the actors and the characters.
Yeah.
I had a connection to every single actor in this movie. I had a connection. I felt like it impacted you. You had feelings, you had emotions. And that's why, as I told with every movie review, if I don't feel something, I'm not going to... This movie I will watch a second time. This movie, when it comes out on DVD, I will rent again, because it's one of those movies that just really touches your heartstrings, because you see, oh my God, what the hell was Detroit going through? And they showed, this wasn't just happening in Detroit. They didn't show it, but this was happening all over the country in the 60s. And they targeted this movie on Detroit because this was like epic.
Well, not only that, but this movie is still just as relevant today as it is even back in when it happened in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's still lessons to be learned, and it's kind of crazy to think that, over 30 some odd years or 40 years or whatever.
40 years, about 40 years.
Over that much time later, maybe we still haven't even learned some of the lessons.
I think we've learned it, but I think what this movie shows is there is police criminality, there is racism, there is a power authority complex. I think what shows in this movie is these cops were all about power.
Yes.
There was racism there, of course there was, but it was about power. They treated and the movie said it, you're criminals, you're probably all criminals. And they're treating everybody like a criminal. And they do show them some decent ones. The police were corrupt, but they show how the armed forces were not as corrupt, because there was a part in the movie where the guy Finn, I don't know,
John
Boyega, he goes outside before they get to the hotel, before they had it, and he gives them coffee, and he's trying to make a good impression. And they asked him in the movie, when do you think this is going to end? And point blank, he looks, how the heck am I supposed to know? And it's true, nobody knew when these riots were going to end, or the looting was going to end. And they really showed a true depiction. It wasn't just the police. They had the armed forces, they had the National Guard. They showed a little bit of and what I liked about this movie, they showed real footage of the events. Like, they showed there was a part in the movie where they showed a congressman talking, a mayor talking. So they actually showed like real people talking.
That was real footage, I imagine.
The congressman, no. The congressman, no. But the footage of the mayor and the footage of the governor, that was real footage of the mayor and the governor.
Because I was sort of thinking to myself, like, they do include a lot of real footage.
Yeah, the governor and the mayor was real footage. The congressman they had that was talking, that was not real footage. That was an actor.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as far as, like, just the movie in general, they ended up having a lot of, like, interesting footage just interspersed in it, and I thought that was really kind of neat for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the end of the movie, they do show some of these people, the real life counterparts.
Absolutely.
And it's sort of fascinating to sort of see the real life counterparts and see maybe what they're going through today, kind of type things. I thought that was kind of interesting.
The thing is, what I don't like, a movie like this, things are going to be said. Things are going to be said, oh, they put white people in a bad light, or they put black people in a bad light. They don't. It's a true story. There was a point in a movie where after the hotel, after Algiers, there's this guy, they let him escape. He's bleeding. He has a concussion. He's all over. And there's a white officer who helps him. And he even says, how could somebody do this to you? And because of those officers, they took him to the hospital. And yes, there was bad officers that were white, but at that point in the movie, it was not the end of the movie, but he escaped from the hotel. Not escaped, but was that free. The white officer found him. How could anybody do this? And he was sent in the hospital. And that's the guy I think you're talking about, who was the singer.
The singer.
Smith, AJ.
I believe it's AJ Smith.
AJ Smith. They showed where he not hated white people, but he just couldn't. He was just, he didn't want to sing anymore. He didn't want to be huge in a band. He just wanted to do local.
I think what happened, and of course it's just like probably the real life incident, was basically just got completely changed by the experience. And
absolutely. Well, his best friend got killed.
Yeah, so you can't really go back to adjusting to normal life after such an incident like that happens. You just can't do it, and I understand that completely. As far as the storylines are concerned and everything, look, I never felt confused by the movie.
No.
I never felt, that the movie was spinning its wheels or ever. I mean, as you said, the movie's 2+ hours long. I never felt bored.
Neither did I. And there's going to be points in the movie where you want to cry because it's very sad. You want to get angry. I mean, there's points in the movie where I want to punch something. I was angry. I was pissed off. And I was angry at some of the actors and said, they're doing a great job. When an actor gets you angry and gets under your skin, you know he's doing a good job as an actor. Same thing when an actor is getting you sad and you're really sad for the actor. They're doing a good job. I'd say the acting. And the plot was suspended. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, we're going in one direction. The plot, I mean, it had multiple little plot, not multiple, but it had a few plots going on. So it wasn't like you were going to get bored of the movie. You say, okay, this went on, this went on. It made you intrigued.
Absolutely. And you know, I do want to give a shout out to the director of this movie, Kathryn Bigelow, who has made a lot of fantastic and great movies over the years, whether it's been recently Zero Dark 30, whether it's been The Hurt Locker.
Oh, Hurt Locker, I heard was an amazing
Hurt Locker
movie.
is fantastic. She did, back in the day, she did Point Break.
Oh, wow.
She did Near Dark.
So you got to give a shout out for women directors because, you know, they're becoming... They never used to do big movies.
Oh, no, and she did a fantastic job with this movie. And I feel like, you know, some directors you feel like, okay, they're doing this because it's not a paycheck movie. They're doing it because they literally have something to say.
That's the thing. This was not a big... I'm sure this movie cost a lot of money, and I'm sure it's made a shitload at the box office. But I think she did it to say a statement. She basically say, this is how we are now.
And she, like I said, go back, look at Zero Dark 30, look at The Hurt Locker, look at the movie she's made. She doesn't do movies for the sake of doing movies. She does movies because she finds the material fascinating and she wants to actually have something to say and tell the audience. And this movie is right up her alley, and she does a fantastic job making the movie.
This movie's going to have an impact on you emotionally, I think mentally. I think this is the type of movie where you might... I'm going to definitely post something on Facebook, but you might say something on social media, or you might have a conversation with a friend of yours, you know, and say, look, I can't believe this is happening, and look, it's happening now. You know, I think it basically shows that we still do have racial tensions.
Absolutely.
You know, my family, my nephew is half black. His father's black, his mother's white. My other nephew is dating a black girl. He's white. And it just shows there's still a lot of racial tension.
Yes.
Looks that my nephew still gets. And I think this is a movie that's speaking to America now because I hate to say it, with the current political spectrum and everything, you need a movie like this. You need a movie that's going to speak volumes that say, look, our country hasn't changed that much. We're getting better, but it's really, we still have a lot of problems. And this movie showed police brutality. It showed the racism. Whether it was the Algiers Hotel or the powder keg where they went at the beginning of the movie, and there was this club. It was an illegal club, and they go in, they shut down the club, and they arrest. I think they arrest over like 2,500 people at one point in the movie were arrested, and they're arresting everybody, and there's guns, and there's a point in the movie, Will Poulter, even before he was at Algiers Hotel, I don't know why he was still an active police officer, he killed somebody point blank for robbing. You never kill somebody robbing. He shot him. Remember that guy? He shot him.
I absolutely do. And not only that,
he should have never been on the police force. In this day and age, if you shoot somebody for robbing, you'll get stripped. I mean, you'll never be a police officer. He should have never been allowed in the field. So it does show a difference where they let him back in the field. He should have never been let in the field. And if he wasn't, if that one detective didn't let him in the field, the whole hotel incident would have never happened.
Well, not only that, but like you see this character that Will Poulter plays, and you could tell, like, once he enters into that motel, he's just unhinged. He's unhinged, and you can tell that this guy is completely, like, he's kind of lost it. He realizes that most likely he's going to be off the force to some degree. He's going to be off the force, and he realizes that, you know what, I don't like these people, and any excuse to go after them, I'm going to do it.
I mean, he abused them, he beat them, I mean, and he killed, I mean, in the movie it shows 3 of them were killed.
Yeah, he kills them. And, I mean, again, I also want to say that the brutality in this movie, they don't shy away from it.
No, you see the bloods, you see the shootings, you see the blood, you see a guy. They keep showing this one scene where a guy was killed early on in the movie, and he's bleeding on the floor, and they keep introducing people in the room, and they see his blood bleeding, and it's like, they're not going to shy away from it because they shouldn't. This is what happened. This is shit like that happen. And they even showed where a murder weapon was planted on a body. They said, well, this is how we're going to get away from it. A murder weapon was planted. And they showed at the end of the movie a law case. I like that they brought a law case in there, how justice was not fought, where these cops, they got away with it.
Well, I actually do like that they do go into the actual case itself, because a lot of movies, especially based on true stories, will sort of only go so far, and then we'll sort of say, well, there was a trial and this is what happened. They actually end up saying, you know what, we're going to actually maybe not show the whole trial, but we're going to show some of it.
That was important. I think that was very important to have.
I think it was to actually show the process and how these people got away with it and whatnot. I think it's important to understand the whole spectrum of the story of Detroit, and I thought they did a great job with that. I will also say one thing as far as, like, you had brought up the box office. Unfortunately, this movie has not made a lot of money at the box office.
I don't care if I did make a lot of money. This is a movie worth seeing.
Absolutely. And the thing about it, I think maybe they probably should not have released this movie in August. I feel like maybe this movie should have been better served maybe as almost a November release.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like in August, people still are in the summer mood. They don't really want to watch this heavy of a movie.
This is true. This is true.
And so maybe they should have been better served doing that. But regardless of that, this movie's amazing and should be watched.
And I think this type of movie, it might not make a lot of money in the box office, but I think when it comes out on DVD and it's going to be rented a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to buy this movie. It's just a phenomenal movie. I just loved it.
I think it's going to be one of those movies that I think over time, I think the word of mouth is going to catch on to it. I think people are kind of a little scared of the subject matter and maybe how heavy it is right now. But I think give it a little bit of time, especially once the awards season comes out. I think people are going to reevaluate this and really go and check it out. We absolutely, definitely recommend it. But do you have any other thoughts before we end up?
Go see this movie. If you don't see it in the movie theater, see it when it comes out on DVD. It's an excellent movie. Great story, great plot, based on a true story. A little bit of an exaggeration, but not that far from the truth. Will stir the emotions, get you angry, get you sad. It's points where you're happy because you do see good things happening. I mean, it stirs all the emotions. Really excellent movie.
So, what is your grade rating for Detroit?
I'm going to really have to give it an A-, B+.
So, are you going A- or B+?
I'm probably going to say A-. The only reason I won't give a movie A+, and I won't give it because I do base my rating, I hate to say this, at how well it did in the box office. I shouldn't, but I would probably give it a plus. If it be like 50 or 100 million, I'd probably say this is an A+ movie. That does change my rating a little bit. It shouldn't, but that does change a little bit.
I'm kind of curious why it does change.
It just changes a little bit, but not significantly. We're talking a half a letter grade, you know?
Okay, well, that's fine. I will actually go ahead and give it a flat A. A little bit higher than an A-, but not an A+. Like I say, I do admit this. I think towards the end of the movie, I did feel a little bit of a slight bit of dragging where I'm like, okay, the movie could have ended at certain spots, and it didn't. That's just a minor nitpick at best. I think the editing is great in it. I think the music, what they choose for the Motown tracks and everything, I think are absolutely phenomenal. I think the acting is out of this world. I think the directing by Kathryn Bigelow is fantastic. And I think, again, as you said, yeah, they're going to fictionalize some stuff. And even
they have no choice.
They have no choice. And even at the end of the movie, they do admit that.
Absolutely. And some movies don't admit that. Some true stories don't admit that how fictional it is. And this movie said, look, we got it from documents and eyewitness articles. Of course it's not going to all be true, you know?
Yeah, and I actually appreciated that a lot. And so for me, this is an absolute must-see, must-check out. And, look, go in knowing that the subject matter is heavy. But you know what? Not every movie is going to be light and fluffy.
Yeah.
And you're going to need these heavy subject matters. And because, look, you know, hey, we can't all have, you know, these Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies. We need movies like Detroit to open us up to issues that maybe are serious and maybe we don't always want to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. So that is our review for Detroit. Hope you guys like it. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. And we will be back next time for another movie review.
Yeah.
All right? See you guys later. Bye.